Where do our personalities come from? How are they developed? And can we change them? Let's talk about it today. Here's a bunch of personality theories. We're going to start with behavioral. My guy, B.F. Skinner, if you remember him, he made the Skinner box. He experimented on animals. He did operant conditioning, rewards and punishments. Freud thought everything was unconscious, whereas Skinner believed everything should be focused on what we can actually look at and observe. So not internal factors. He thought our personality, in the same way, was developed by environmental determinism. So outside forces. So if parents were encouraging their kids when they were being outgoing, that's going to influence a kid's personality, but it's based on our environment. All right, moving over to social cognitive, the expectancy theory by Julian Rotter talked about this idea of locus of control. So thinking behaviors are based on our expectations of our environment. And the locus of control is our ability to control those situations. So Rotter would talk about people either having an internal locus of control or external. So internal, thinking you can control the outcomes. External is like things are happening to you. Now I'm going to show my bias here about student loans, but I do not like student loans. I would say an internal locus of control, somebody going to college would say, hey, I can choose the college I can afford. I'm going to save up for college. I'm going to have a job while I'm in college, and I'm going to get through college without any student loan debt. Versus external locus of control would be an attitude of like, college is too expensive. Nobody can get through college without taking out loans. So internal, external locus of control. Now we have Albert Bandura. Do you remember Albert Bandura? What is he famous for? That's right. The Bobo doll experiment, when children observed adults beating up a Bobo doll. So it makes sense. His personality theory goes along the same lines of observation. But he said personalities learned in 3 different ways. One is environment, so observing others, right along with his Bobo doll experiment. The second one is behavior. He called it self-efficacy. And this is really similar to the internal, external locus of control, believing that we can do something. And then the third one is our cognitive, our personal, individual, emotional, and physical state. This is like character traits that we have and we're born with. And so he said the interaction of these 3 things, he called it our reciprocal determinism, the interaction of your mental state, behavior, and your environment really make you who you are in your personality. Humanistic, we have 2 guys for humanistic that you probably remember. The first one, Carl Rogers, and he believed that self-concept, who we are, is at the center of personality. So he talked about our real self and our ideal self. So our real self is what other people see in us, but our ideal self is what we strive to be, what we're building towards. So think about this. If I was to tell my daughter, hey, sweetie, you're just not a very good speller. Or if I was to tell my daughter, hey, sweetie, I know you're really struggling with spelling right now, right? That's very different. One is the real self, right? That's like putting it on her personality that she's not a very good speller. The other one is ideal self, like, hey, she's just this temporary struggle learning how to spell well. With a positive self-concept, Rogers would say that we perceive the world optimistically, so glasses half full up there, versus a negative self-concept makes us feel unhappy and dissatisfied. But this is the big thing right here, unconditional positive regard. Make sure you write that down. Unconditional positive regard is the idea that you can never over-encourage somebody, right? You just want this blanket of acceptance, especially on children, that you are proud of them, you support them, no matter what, whether they succeed or don't succeed, versus, hey, I'm only going to be proud of you if you accomplish certain goals. Great. Other humanistic guy is Abraham Maslow, great mustache. He has this hierarchy of needs. I'm sure you've seen this before, but like Rogers, he embraces the basic goodness of human natures. He looked at very healthy individuals, studied their personality, and that's where he kind of came up with this chart. And the very top up there is self-actualization. So if you look at the bottom, we have our physiological needs. So food, water, shelter. And to go up the pyramid, you have to have the bottom levels first met. Then you have to feel safe. Next up, you have the psychological, so relationships, belongingness, and love. And then esteem, so feeling like you're accomplishing what you want to accomplish. At the very, very top is self-actualization, really meeting your full potential in life. All right, now we have trait theories. Traits personality traits are stable. That's key right there. Stable personality characteristics. Think about behaviors, the way we think, the emotions that we experience. And these are tested through factor analysis. So it's trying to find traits through tests and looking for clustering similarities. So there's certain personality characteristics that are similar to each other. And if you score high in one, you're probably going to score high in those others. That's the clustering effect. Costa and McRae, they developed a 5-factor model. This is known as the Big Five. The acronym is OCEAN or Canoe, both the same letters. Both were also my starting Wordle words at one time. But OCEAN, you can see the acronym right there. And on the next slide here, we'll go over each one. So the very top, we got openness. And this is like openness to experiences. So if you score high on this, right, you might have lots of interests. You might want to be trying lots of different things versus a low score would be like, hey, I like my routine. I kind of got my things figured out and I like to consistently do these same activities. Conscientiousness, hardworking, dependable, organized on the high side. On the low side, maybe less organized, could be more impulsive, maybe careless. Extroversion, you probably know what this is. On the right, you're very outgoing, warm, seeking adventure versus quiet and reserved. Agreeableness, helpful, trusting, empathetic on the high side versus being more suspicious, uncooperative on the low side. And finally, neuroticism. And this is really just how big our emotions are. So if you're a big emotion person, you're probably on the right-hand side. You feel very, very excited and happy and joyful, and then maybe very anxious, negative emotions versus a low side, you're pretty even-tempered, very secure. Biology and personality. This focuses on the roles of genes and heredity in personality. Now, some personality traits do appear to be inherited, but their heritability is pretty low. So temperament is genetic. It's inborn. We see this in children. So if you have a baby and it's a fussy baby, that's their temperament. They didn't learn that. It's not developed over time. That's just who they are. Or if they're very calm, quiet, or they're like to explore, right? These are all temperaments that children are born with. Whereas heritability, remember, this is the degree to which genes influence psychological characteristics. Genes influence psychological characteristics, but how much is heritability? So heritability, you can think about physically, height is very, very highly heritable. So it's like 90% heritability with height. So if you have tall parents, you're probably also going to be tall. Intelligence is much lower. It's like 50 to 70%. So if your parents are super smart, you have a chance of that, but not necessarily are going to be exactly the same as your parents. Now, twin studies do support this idea of genetic basis to personality. All right, last thing we got here are the personality assessments. So we have 3 types of tests. The first one, projective tests. This is psychodynamic. Think with me real quick. Is psychodynamic, is that Freud or is that Neo-Freudians? It's Neo-Freudians. Freud was psychoanalytic. I remember that because analytic, A comes before D, and it's alphabetical. So Freud came first, psychoanalytic. Neo-Freudians, new Freudians, came up with psychodynamic, but they still believed in the unconscious forces. So things like free association, dream analysis, slips of the tongue. Let's do a little free association. These are all techniques to see what your unconscious is really saying about what you feel. So free association, try this with me. I'm going to say a word and you say out loud the first word that pops in your head. So if I say peanut butter, do you say jelly? And we'll just go through this. Let's try day. Okay. Car. All right. Sun. Okay. School. All right. Did you say anything about school? So kind of go through that process, and then school, maybe you're like fun, or maybe you're like not fun. I don't know. The inkblot test, the TAT, these are both projective tests. So the inkblot test, like you'd be shown inkblot picture, and then you have to describe what's going on. And really that is like your unconscious seeing something that's really going on that you're not really aware of. So those are projective tests. Self-reporting tests, these are, you're probably most familiar. The MMPI, this is one of the most widely used personality inventory tests. It's got all these questions. Myers-Briggs is one you're probably familiar with. The 16 different types of personalities. And then the last one, observation and interviews, this is probably the most effective, most preferred. It's got rating scales, sitting down with somebody, talking, asking them different things, and then trying to find and select their specific personality traits. We did it. We did it. We're there. We got it. Good job today. All right, couple questions real quick. I'm just checking the time. I got 2 minutes till class starts. Review questions right here. Lily is selfless. She's cooperative and trusting of other people. According to the Big Five model personality, these characteristics make her low in agreeableness, high in extroversion, low in neuroticism, high in agreeableness, or low in extroversion. Selfless, cooperative, trusting. It's got to be D, high in agreeableness. That is a poison dart frog. D for dart frog. Looks really cute. A therapist who is an adherent of humanistic personality theory would most likely focus on which of the following: the underlying and consistent behavioral traits that differ across individuals, differences in rewards and punishments as the source of behavioral differences, unconscious motives guiding people's behavior, the pursuit of self-actualization, the influence of beliefs about one's self on behavior. So the first couple, we got behavioralists, we got unconscious, that's Freud, Neo-Freudians. The answer is self-actualization. D for doorway. There's a doorway to the ocean view. I wish I was there. Last one, which of the following scenarios most directly refutes trait theory? So think about trait theory. What did they say about personality characteristic traits? Ben's personality inventory describes it very well. Victoria goes to the same restaurant ordering the same meal every day, but when she goes out to eat with friends, she likes to order the most interesting thing. Cam is always easily frustrated when he doesn't get his way. Malik keeps his house very organized, or Eric gets along with just about everyone he meets. All right, which one of those goes against the trait theory? Traits are consistent, so it is B for business meeting, right? That's what they're doing up there. They got the pie chart. I don't know. Is that what business people do? Who knows? Well done today. You guys are the best. Look over your notes. Give me a 1-sentence summary. It's going to ingrain it in your brains. Give me a 20 words or so. You're the best. Have a wonderful day. Great job. Colorado State. Done right before class started. These characteristics. Whew, that was fast.